Imagine this. You are a man of undeniable appeal, sculpted by discipline or blessed by genetics. Yet you move through a world of silent rejections. Your presence, which you assumed was a key, instead functions as a lock. The very glances you sought to catch are averted. The conversations you initiate are politely deflected. There is a silent, invisible barrier between you and the intimacy you desire. A paradox where your supposed advantage becomes your greatest liability. This is not a minor social frustration. It is a deep existential puzzle. How can admiration create distance? Why does being seen so often mean not being known? You are trapped in a cruel, unspoken game where the rules were written in a language you were never taught. Your worth, reflected in the mirror and affirmed by culture, feels like a lie. The confidence you've built begins to curdle into a quiet desperation, a haunting question. If what I have is not enough, then what is? This is the great, unsettling silence you face. It is a void where conventional wisdom fails, where the maps of dating and attraction lead only to cliffs. The problem is not you, yet it is entirely about you. It is about the story your attractiveness tells before you ever speak a word. What is that story? And why does it provoke not welcome, but a subtle, powerful form of retreat? The answer is not what you think, and it begins not with her, but deep within the shadows of the human psyche. This silent retreat you experience is not a personal failure, but the symptom of a deeper, hidden problem. It is the shadow cast by a societal obsession with surfaces. We live in what the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre might call a world of bad faith, where we are conditioned to see people not as complex beings, but as objects. Your attractiveness, therefore, becomes not a gateway to your humanity, but a label that obscures it. You are transformed from a thou into an it, a beautiful object to be assessed, admired from a distance, or even resented, but not engaged with authentically. This objectification triggers a profound psychological defense. Carl Jung warned of the persona, the mask we wear for society. When your primary mask is one of formidable beauty, you are not met as a person, but as an archetype, the Adonis. This archetype carries a heavy, unspoken burden of expectation. It promises a story that is already written, a narrative of vanity, of ease, of a life untouched by the existential struggles that define the common human experience. To approach you feels, to many, like approaching a finished masterpiece, leaving no room for their own brushstrokes. Your perceived perfection creates an existential intimidation, making others feel more flawed, more vulnerable in your presence. They are not ignoring the man. They are fleeing the symbol. But what is the true cost of living inside the symbol? The consequences are more corrosive than you can imagine. If these hidden psychological forces are shaping your reality, you need to understand the full picture. Subscribe now, because in the next section, we expose the silent, corrosive consequences of this dynamic, knowledge you cannot afford to miss. Indeed, the consequences of this symbolic prison are both silent and severe, shaping realities in ways you feel but cannot always name. The most immediate casualty is genuine connection. You are surrounded by a paradox: high visibility, yet profound invisibility. People see the emblem, not the essence. This triggers a cruel cognitive bias known as the halo effect, where your physical appeal creates an assumption of overall superiority, and consequently, a life of less struggle. This assumption is a wall. It makes others hesitant to reveal their own insecurities, their messy realities, or their raw vulnerabilities to someone they perceive as having none. Your presence inadvertently stifles the very authenticity upon which deep bonds are built. You become a character in other people's narratives of lack, a mirror reflecting back everything they believe they are not. This is the unseen trap, the cultural conditioning so brilliantly dissected by thinkers like Aldous Huxley, has sold a lie that beauty equates to a life of ease, making you an object of distant admiration or quiet resentment, but rarely a partner in mutual exploration. The consequence is a deep, gnawing loneliness that feels illegitimate. How can you, who is so desired, feel so utterly alone? This is the urgent, hidden wound. The system is designed to keep you isolated within your own appeal. A beautiful cage with a lock is on the inside. But what if you could shatter the cage itself? The rebellion begins not with a change of appearance, but with a radical assassination of the archetype you represent. This is not about becoming less, but about becoming real. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche proclaimed the need to become what you are. For you, this means a conscious shattering of the polished persona. It is an embrace of what Carl Jung called the shadow, the imperfect, vulnerable, and authentic parts of yourself that your attractive facade has been hired to conceal. You must willingly introduce friction, flaw, and palpable humanity into the interactions you seek. This is the counterintuitive key. You must disarm her defensive distance with a strategic vulnerability. Speak not of your triumphs, but of a poignant failure. Reveal a quiet insecurity where she expects unshakable confidence. Ask a question that exposes genuine curiosity about her inner world, dismantling the assumption of your self-sufficiency. You are not seeking approval. You are inviting collaboration in a shared human experience. You are demonstrating, through a single, calibrated moment of truth, that the symbol is a lie and the man is present. This is how you break the hypnotic spell of your own attractiveness. You stop being a monument to be admired and become a landscape to be explored. But this act of rebellion leads to the most profound question of all. What remains when the symbol is finally dead? This rebellion requires a new way of thinking. Subscribe for more counterintuitive strategies that challenge everything you've been told, and let us know in the comments, what single vulnerability could you reveal to shatter your own archetype? And so we arrive at the ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization. This was never about her ignoring you. It was about you ignoring yourself. The profound loneliness you felt was not a void created by others' absence, but by the absence of your own authentic self. You were trapped in a hall of mirrors, where every reflection was a distorted image you had to maintain, a performance you felt compelled to give. The attraction you thought was a barrier was, in its deepest sense, the very catalyst forcing you to shed every superficial layer and confront what lies beneath. This is the poetic, brutal, and liberating conclusion. Your journey was never about learning how to be seen. It was about discovering what is truly worth seeing. When you cease to be the Adonis, you create the space to become the philosopher, the artist, the fool, the lover, a man of infinite depth, not just enviable surface. The ultimate attraction, the kind that transcends a glance and becomes a gravitational pull, is not to a form, but to a presence. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of a man who has met his own shadow and is no longer afraid of the dark. Let them ignore the statue. You are the sculptor, and your masterpiece was never your body, but your soul. Now, go and live, unburdened by the reflection, and become a force that is felt, not just seen. If this final truth reshaped your worldview, imagine what our next explorations will reveal. Subscribe and hit the bell to continue this journey with us. And in the comments below, tell us one layer of your own statue you are ready to leave behind.